By this point, you'll notice that the plant you're looking at is woody. It should have bark and exhibit secondary growth, evident from growth rings if you were to cut a branch in cross-section. This portion of the key, the needle-leaved woody plants, refers to plants called gymnosperms, meaning naked seed. Gymnosperm seeds are not enclosed in an ovary and will therefore never develop true fruit, such as berries. The most obvious gymnosperm characteristic is the leaf. Gymnosperm leaves are very narrow and appear needle-like or scale-like. Other things to look at when trying to identify your gymnosperm are whether or not the leaves are round or flattened, whether they are blunt or sharply tipped, and if the needles occur in bundles, make note of the number of needles that make up each bundle. Woody gymnosperms also often produce a turpentine-smelling sap that comes from resin canals within the leaves. One example of this occurs with balsam firs, which are commonly used as Christmas trees. The vast majority of gymnosperms are evergreen, which means that they do not lose their leaves in winter. However, there are exceptions to this as well. One example of a non-evergreen woody gymnosperm is the larch. It is possible to misidentify plants as gymnosperms, especially if these non-gymnosperms have very narrow leaves. If you're unsure as to whether or not your narrow-leaved plant is a gymnosperm, it's best to take another look at the seeds. Gymnosperms can often be referred to as conifers, meaning cone-bearing. Seed cone form is another great ID characteristic for woody gymnosperms, so make sure to note the size and shape of the cone. Sometimes very small round cones can look like berries, as they do with junipers, but these are really just round, leathery scales covering the seeds. Not all gymnosperms are technically conifers, however. The exception is a gymnosperm whose cones have been reduced to a single seed. Plants in the genus Taxus, for example, have seeds that are covered by what is called an aril, which is not a fruit, but instead a fleshy modified scale that looks like a cup surrounding most of the seed. One gymnosperm whose seeds are covered by bright red arils is Taxus canadensis, the American yew. Good luck with keying out your woody gymnosperms.